There is a truth you carry within, however quietly, a truth born from the depths of solitude. This life is irrevocably yours. Nobody else can walk your path, shoulder your unseen aches, or dream in your name. The world often clamors for your attention, urging you to blend in, to lose yourself in the crowd. Yet, it is in the silent space, removed from noise and judgment, where you finally encounter your own soul without pretense or disguise. The Stoics understood this sacred silence not as emptiness, but as a sanctuary where clarity, strength, and resilience are forged. If you feel uneasy in solitude, look closer. It is a teacher revealing hidden lessons, the gateway to real self-knowledge and freedom. Before you can illuminate another's life, ignite your own fire within. Today is not just about philosophy, it is about reclaiming your power, finding peace in your own company, and meeting yourself with honesty. Begin within, and everything else will follow. Lesson 1. The loneliness of the truth. Seneca once articulated a profound truth. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Much of this waste occurs not in chaos, but in distraction. We allow the cacophony of the world to drown out the whisper of our inner voice. That whisper, the voice of the soul, often becomes buried beneath the weight of others' expectations. To walk your path alone means committing to listen to that whisper, however faint it may be. Let's be clear. Loneliness is not a romantic notion. It is uncomfortable, often painful, yet it is necessary. In the absence of external validation, we are compelled to confront whether our dreams are truly ours or merely echoes of someone else's applause. Each person faces a moment of reckoning, a crossroads, where the road splits, with comfort on one side and truth on the other. Most choose comfort, retreating into the familiar embrace of routine and the company of people who never challenge them to grow. But the Stoic chooses truth, opting for the narrow, silent path that leads inward rather than outward. This inward journey requires a distinct kind of strength, not the strength of muscle, but of spirit. It demands a conviction that does not waver in the face of public opinion. You are not here to please everyone, nor are you destined to walk the same path as others. Your purpose is to become who you were meant to be. Someone aligned with their true nature, not molded by societal whims. This often means stepping away from the crowd, choosing the road less traveled, and abandoning the relentless chase for approval, the mirage of popularity, and the illusions of sameness that so easily lead many astray. Walking this path means making peace with being misunderstood, with not fitting in, and with taking a route that may initially feel foreign. It involves sitting in silence, grappling with hard questions, and being willing to accept that you may not have all the answers. It means being vulnerable with yourself, acknowledging your fears without allowing them to dictate your choices. It requires confronting your inner contradictions and sitting with them not to judge, but to understand. This form of solitude is not the loneliness of emptiness, it is the loneliness of expansion, the space where your soul finally has room to breathe, grow, and realign with what is most essential. Here lies a deeper truth, one that only the brave discover. Loneliness does not signify that you are lost. It often indicates that you are finally found. It means you have ceased running from yourself, your past, and your stillness. You no longer try to fill the void with validation, noise, or distraction. Instead, you stand at the edge of the void, realizing it isn't empty, it is full of the raw material of your becoming. You are no longer masking your discomfort with busyness or chasing fleeting highs to avoid facing your wounds. You are on sacred ground, poised on the brink of something far greater than you have ever known your true self. In this sacred confrontation, you are not breaking, you are being built anew. You are not unraveling, you are being reborn. Every breath taken in solitude shapes you into someone who does not need to be defined by the perceptions of others. Through this journey, you begin to understand your fears, tracing their origins and dismantling the beliefs that have kept you caged for too long. This process is neither instantaneous nor easy. However, every moment spent walking through that inner fire sharpens your soul like steel beneath the hammer. Gradually, you feel a stillness growing within you, a form of unshakable presence that cannot be manufactured but must be cultivated. You learn that peace is not found in being surrounded by others. It is found in being centered, not on outcomes, titles, or relationships, but on integrity, on alignment, and on an unwavering commitment to your personal growth. Your truest self is revealed not in reflection, but in revelation. This revelation is raw and unscripted. It emerges not through echo chambers, but through deep silence, through agreement, but through challenge. Not through visibility, but through authenticity. Revelation arises when you walk alone through the valleys of your experience, when you cease seeking light from others and begin to carry your own flame. When your flame becomes the only light illuminating your path, you realize it was all you ever needed, not a torch handed to you, but the fire ignited by your own truth. As you journey onward, you will find yourself more anchored, less reactive, and more awake. You will carry something unseen, yet deeply felt, an inner authority, forged not in the spotlight, but in the solitude you chose. This is how you know you are not lost. You are exactly where you are meant to be, walking your path alone, with light in your chest and freedom in your stride. Lesson 2. Epictetus and the Inner Citadel. Epictetus, born a slave and later freed, understood the essence of internal strength more than most. He spoke of the inner citadel, a fortress within the soul that no external force could breach. You might endure chains, beatings, exile, or mockery, yet no one can touch that fortress unless you grant them permission. This is a powerful truth. Your inner peace is yours alone, and it is built on the foundation of self-awareness and resilience. To construct that citadel, you must walk your path alone. When you rely on others to define your worth or dictate your peace, you hand them the keys to your inner kingdom. And when they leave us all, eventually, you are left vulnerable. Their absence becomes your collapse. Their silence becomes your unraveling. In depending on them, you unknowingly abandon yourself. Your emotional landscape becomes a reflection of others' actions. Your confidence becomes conditional, your happiness negotiable, and in that fragile exchange, your sovereignty is forfeited. Walking alone teaches you to build walls not to keep people out, but to preserve your essence. You learn to differentiate between who you are and who others want you to be. You discover that boundaries are not barriers, they are declarations of self-respect. These boundaries aren't walls of separation, but walls of sacred space, where you can rediscover your center, recalibrate your compass, and reawaken your power. As you walk this path, you begin to feel the firm ground beneath your feet returning to you. You no longer question each step based on how others might perceive it. You walk for yourself, not in arrogance, but in alignment. You begin to hear your own voice again, the one that was drowned out by obligation and expectation. That voice grows stronger with your continued presence. It transforms from a whisper into a rhythm, a chant, a battle cry. Rebuilding trust with yourself is a gradual process, brick by brick, moment by moment, promise by promise. You learn that the most sacred vow is the one you make and keep to yourself. Start by taking time each day to retreat inward. Turn off the noisino phones, no distractions, just you, your breath, and the truth. Allow yourself to sit with discomfort. Let the silence swell. Let your thoughts bubble up. Some may be ugly, while others may be illuminating. But they are yours, carrying the seeds of your liberation. Stay with them, trace them, journal them, understand them. Ask yourself, what am I afraid to face alone? What parts of me have I silenced to gain acceptance from others? What truths have I buried so deep I can barely name them? What lies have I told myself to maintain peace at the expense of authenticity? The answers to these questions, though potentially painful, hold the key to your freedom. Freedom is not found in running from challenges. It is not found in pretending to be someone you are not. True freedom lies in returning to the only place where genuine peace can truly begin, within. In the silence, in the stillness, and within the self you've always awaited. Embrace this journey, for it leads to profound self-discovery and empowerment. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Make your inner citadel your sanctuary, a place where your spirit is unassailable and your authenticity reigns supreme. This journey may be daunting, yet within it lies the promise of transformation. You are not merely surviving, you are evolving into the person you were always meant to be. Stand firm, for the fortress within you is more powerful than any external circumstance. With each step, you reclaim your sovereignty. And as you do, you will find that the silence becomes not a void, but a space filled with strength and clarity. Lesson 3. The Mirror of Solitude. Solitude is a mirror. It reveals who you truly are, stripping away the masks you wear to please others. When you sit alone with nothing but your thoughts, the patterns of your life come into sharp focus. The lies you've told yourself, the pain you've buried, and the dreams you've delayed. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor and philosopher, understood this profoundly. He journaled every day not to showcase his wisdom, but to hold himself accountable. His meditations were personal reflections, never intended for publication, yet they endure today as a testament to the transformative power of solitude. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This insight poses a crucial question. Can you sit in a room alone without numbing yourself with entertainment? Can you resist the urge to check your phone, scroll mindlessly, or chase distractions? Can you embrace your own silence and listen not to the din outside, but to the stirring deep within your chest? Staring into the mirror of solitude can be daunting. It doesn't flatter you, it reveals you. There are no filters, no applause, no escape. In that raw confrontation, you begin the process of becoming who you are truly meant to be. In solitude, you step away from performance. You stop editing yourself to fit someone else's idea of acceptance. You are left with the unvarnished truth, and while it may be sharp, it is always sacred. The first step toward greatness is honesty, and honesty is born in silence. This is not the silence born of avoidance or suppression, but the deep, fertile silence that creates space for your truth to rise. It is an active silence, the soil in which courage is cultivated, where the roots of self-respect take hold. In this silence, there are no applause breaks, no curated filters, and no external cues dictating what you should believe. There is only you and the still truths that rise to meet you. In this stillness, where nothing is performed or filtered, you confront your courage. You face the ghosts you've kept hidden in the shadows, fleeting fears, and deep-rooted beliefs that shape your identity and place in the world. Here, you realize that growth is not always graceful. It can be raw, jagged, and demanding. Yet it is also where something sacred stirs within you, recognition that the pain you feel is not punishment, but preparation. In this honest space, you begin to reclaim your identity. It takes bravery to face yourself without armor, to admit your own flaws rather than pointing out those of others. It requires the strength of 10,000 warriors to peel back your layers and examine your wounds, to ask, where did this come from? What am I still carrying that no longer serves me? Listening to the unspoken fears that knock softly on your chest in quiet moments requires grit, fears that tell you that you're not enough, that you're too broken, that change is impossible. It takes humility to sit with your limitations without shame, embracing them as integral parts of your sacred architecture. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of survival, the chapters of your becoming. Once you engage with your truth, the noise of the world loses its grip. The chatter that once dictated your direction fades into the background. The voices that used to shake your resolve now barely register, distant echoes lost in the fog. What once seemed urgent becomes irrelevant. The opinions that rattled you turn into whispers lost in the wind. You stop trying to earn your worth in a world that never knew how to measure it. Your convictions no longer sway with the tides of popularity or peer pressure. They anchor you with quiet strength. The doubts that once chained you fall away like dead leaves from a resilient tree. You no longer define yourself by your failures or fears. Instead, you begin to wear your scars like medals, not for display, but as testaments to your journey. You no longer need to be carried. You have found your footing, a footing born not of perfection, but of presence. From this silence, the seeds of transformation begin to grow. They stretch toward the light of your awareness, rooting deep into your values, piercing the soil of your soul, becoming inseparable from who you are becoming. They grow in the dark first, where no one can see, where only you and the silence bear witness. As they bloom into strength, silent, steady, and self-born, you cultivate a resilience that does not seek recognition or lash out in anger. This strength awakens with the dawn and works tirelessly without applause. It is not loud, but unshakable. It does not boast, but endures. This is the strength that walks its path alone, and not in isolation, but in profound connection with the truest self discovered in the furnace of silence, forged by fire, and guided by truth. In that truth, you become whole, not because others approve of you, but because you finally approve of yourself. Lesson 4. The strength of the silent one. There exists a pervasive myth that strength must be loud and commanding. Many believe that to be powerful, one must be seen, heard, and followed, dominating conversations and commanding rooms. Yet, the Stoics understood a profound truth. Real strength is forged in silence, not in spectacle. True strength is quiet. It embodies the calm amid the storm, a steady hand amidst panic. It is the individual who can stand alone, unshaken, while others clamor for attention, approval, and validation. The Stoic does not chase the noise. Instead, they dissolve into the silence where their strength is cultivated. When you learn to walk your path alone, you abandon the need for applause. You cease chasing validation. You stop tailoring yourself to fit the comfort of others. You begin to live in truth, not performance. No longer do you search for your identity in the eyes of others or beg for permission to exist within your own skin. You start to enjoy your own company, not merely because it's convenient, but because it's real. In your presence, you find a stillness that speaks volumes, a presence that teaches you the wisdom waiting patiently beneath the noise. As you cultivate this inner world, you become content in your own company, not out of resignation, but because you have finally returned to yourself. Once you have returned to yourself, you realize that you never needed permission to be whole. Wholeness was never out there. It has always been within you. Consider this practice. Spend 1 hour alone every day, doing nothing, not reading, not watching, not scrolling, just being. Sit with your thoughts, walk in nature, observe the sky as it shifts from minute to minute. Allow your mind to settle like silt in still water. Let your breath guide you back to center. Let discomfort rise and pass like clouds. At first, this practice may feel foreign, akin to learning a forgotten language, yet that language is your own. The more you listen, the more fluent you become. Listen not for answers, but for presence. In that stillness, your power will grow, not power over others, but power over yourself. Power over your impulses, your fears, and the part of you that is tempted to flee at the first sign of discomfort. This is the kind of power that cannot be given or taken away. It can only be earned through presence, discipline, and the resolute commitment to never abandon yourself. The world around us trains us to crave stimulation, to seek distraction, and to run from ourselves. From the moment you wake, your attention is pulled in countless directions: likes, notifications, news, and noise. You're taught that silence is something to be avoided, that stillness equals stagnation, and that solitude signifies failure. You may believe that the next thrill will save you, that the next screen will fulfill you, and that the next voice will complete you. However, these are mere illusions, fleeting moments of escape that only distance you further from your soul. The Stoic trains to endure stillness, not just to sit in it, but to embrace it as a trusted companion. They learn to sit in the emptiness until it becomes full of insight, clarity, and self-awareness. They welcome silence like an old friend, allowing its calm to reveal what the chaos has obscured. They cultivate peace with boredom until it transforms into a sacred kind of quiet that nourishes the roots of their character. Within this boredom lies the uncarved mark of your potential. The Stoic seeks the richness within, digging beneath the surface layers until they uncover the gold buried in the silence. They understand that the truest treasures are not found in external achievements but in internal revelations. In the absence of noise, they find direction. In the absence of distraction, they discover meaning. They peel back layers of self-deception, fear, and ego, until what remains is a foundation strong enough to carry their purpose through any trial. In stillness, the surface noise subsides, and deeper truths emerge. You begin to hear yourself, not the version shaped by fear or culture, but the authentic, unshaken voice within. The Stoic does not fear solitude. They befriend it. They choose it, not because they reject the world, but because they wish to return to it stronger, clearer, and whole. They welcome solitude's teachings and lean into its discomfort, knowing that true growth begins not in activity but in stillness. In that silence, the fog lifts. In stillness, your real work commences. True strength takes root not in noise, not in chaos, but in the quiet mastery of the self. A strength cultivated in silence cannot be stolen by the clamor of the outside world. Once this mastery begins, nothing external can ever shake what is deeply rooted within you. It is a strength that endures, not for the sake of show, but for the soul. Lesson 5. Detachment and the path within. Detachment is often misunderstood. It is not indifference or a rejection of love and joy. Rather, it is the conscious choice to refuse external circumstances from dictating your inner peace. It is about reclaiming ownership of your emotional landscape, taking back the throne of your feelings from the tumultuous chaos outside. Detachment is not a cold wall. It is a warm hearth within, a sanctuary where your identity is shaped not by the validation of others, but by your core values. To walk your path alone is to detach from the incessant need for reassurance. Discovering your purpose requires stepping away from the noise, ignoring the whispers of insecurity, that insist you are not enough unless someone sees you, praises you, or chooses you. This journey demands the courage to decline gatherings that drain your spirit and to turn down distractions that keep you from your work, your truth, and ultimately yourself. You must dare to sit with your longing, asking not who can fill it, but what. It truly desires not affection, but alignment. Listen closely to your heart's quiet cry without attempting to drown it in noise. Allow space for your soul to express itself, free from interruption, external opinions, and the impulse to be liked or validated. This practice may feel uncomfortable initially. The urge to reach for your phone, text someone, or scroll mindlessly to fill the silence can be overwhelming. Yet, discomfort is not your enemy. It serves as a signal, illuminating the areas that require your attention. Each time you resist that urge, you reclaim a piece of your identity. Every moment spent in silence expands your strength. In those quiet interludes, your intuition becomes clearer, and you recover fragments of your true self that may have been scattered among others' opinions. Solitude stitches together the fabric of self-trust, making it stronger, more resilient with each pause. You come to understand that peace isn't found in constant activity. Rather, it emerges from being centered, recognizing that your worth is not dictated by someone else's presence, but is rooted in your alignment with your own truth. Detaching does not mean you withdraw from love. It means relinquishing dependency. It does not involve turning away from joy, but rather understanding that joy does not need to originate from outside yourself. Detach from the notion that others validate your worth. You are already whole and complete, lacking nothing. You are not a half searching for another half. You are a universe learning to orbit around your own center. The Stoics believed that virtue alone is sufficient for happiness. They argued that the good life is not found in the abundance of possessions or relationships, but in the depth of character, strength in values, loyalty to principles, and peace in simplicity. Everything else is merely decoration, beautiful, perhaps, but not essential. When you cease chasing what you think you lack, you begin to realize the richness of what you already possess. You stop performing for others, you stop pleasing, and you start simply being. This realization becomes the root of unshakable freedom, not freedom from the world, but liberation from the illusion that your peace resides in external hands. By embracing detachment, you cultivate a profound inner strength that allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. This strength is not defined by the external chaos, but by the serenity that blossoms from within. In this way, you learn to embody the Stoic ideal, to live a life rich in virtue, aligned with your true self, regardless of the noise surrounding you. Lesson 6. The Trial of Isolation. Every great soul must pass through the fire of isolation. Jesus ventured into the desert, seeking clarity and strength. Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, meditating in silence, until enlightenment dawned. Marcus Aurelius ruled from the lonely seat of power, grappling with the weight of his responsibilities. There is no greatness without solitude. Do not fear isolation. Instead, embrace it. It is the furnace where character is forged. Isolation strips you down to the bone, not to break you, but to rebuild you. It is not punishment. It is purification, a space where distractions fade into silence, leaving only the quiet weight of who you are without the gaze of others. In that sacred silence, you begin to discern what is essential from what is merely performative. Isolation offers a rare opportunity. There are no masks to wear, no performances to deliver. It is just you, without an audience to impress or expectations to fulfill. You encounter raw, unfiltered truth. The aspects of yourself that have been buried beneath layers of social conditioning and external approval begin to emerge. You confront yourself in full clarity, not as a polished version for public consumption, but as you truly are. Now, consider this pivotal question. What will you do with that time? Will you numb it with distractions, or will you harness it? Will you avoid confronting yourself, or will you dive into the unfinished stories that reside within you? Will you succumb to denial, or will you embrace discovery? When faced with the silence, will you shrink back, or will you step into it like a warrior entering the temple of truth? This moment is not trivial. It is the fork in the road. It is the silent juncture that separates who you are from who you could become. One path leads to numbness, the other leads to transformation. One pushes you further away from yourself, while the other guides you home. The choice you make will shape your future. In solitude, your entire life can shift not through grand gestures, but by the quiet decision to face what lies within. The Stoic uses this time to sharpen the mind, deepen the soul, and plan their next moves with clarity. Solitude is not stagnation, it is strategy. It allows for presence without pressure. It is time reclaimed, not time lost. This is where discipline is tempered, clarity is born, and resilience is tested in silence before it is demonstrated to the world. During these moments, the Stoic reads not just to learn, but to absorb the timeless wisdom of those who came before. They reflect, not to judge themselves harshly, but to understand their journey. Solitude becomes a sanctuary where they write not to impress, but to remember who they are when the world forgets. Treat your alone time as sacred. Build your skills. Reflect on your values. Reconnect with your true nature. Strive to master your craft not for applause, but for excellence, not to outshine others, but to express your inner truth. Not to be better than anyone else, but to become the best version of yourself. Make solitude a ritual. Light a candle, sit in silence, set a clear intention. Let your isolation be your sanctuary where your vision sharpens, your purpose deepens, and your character becomes unassailable. Allow it to be the place where your wisdom takes root and your resilience flourishes. Make your time alone the foundation that makes everything else possible, the wellspring from which every profound thought, every courageous act, and every unshakable principle will eventually emerge. Embrace the trial of isolation, for it is through this crucible that you will emerge stronger, clearer, and more aligned with your true self. Lesson 7. Self-discovery is the seed of all growth. To know others is intelligence. To know yourself is wisdom. Observing the patterns in others is one thing. Illuminating your own inner landscape is another. Many can read the emotions and actions of those around them, but few possess the clarity and compassion to truly understand themselves. The greatest journey a human can undertake is the inward journey of self-discovery. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to life's circumstances rather than engaging with their true selves. They are shaped by their pasts, controlled by fears, and burdened by inherited beliefs that often go unexamined. These individuals repeat patterns without understanding their origins, numbing their discomfort instead of exploring its deeper messages. They wear masks, dressing for the approval of others, and constructing armor against judgment, veiling their true selves, even from their own gaze. The Stoic, however, rejects this superficial existence. The Stoic chooses the more challenging path, to unmask, to examine, and to truly know oneself. This journey requires you to become a diligent student of your own life. Study your habits, not just the actions you take, but the motivations behind them. Investigate your thoughts, not simply their content, but their tone, source, and the impact they have on your life. Question your beliefs, not to discard them carelessly, but to rigorously test them, strengthening or replacing them with truths that resonate deeply. This process is a lifelong curriculum for the wise. Journaling, meditation, and deep reflection are not mere luxuries. They are essential tools for carving into the bedrock of your identity. These practices strip away the noise of daily life, revealing your essence untainted by time, culture, or expectation. When you journal, you engage in a heartfelt dialogue with your soul. In meditation, you listen with reverence to the whispers of your inner self. Through deep thinking, you map out your internal landscape, enabling you to navigate it with awareness rather than wandering aimlessly. Ask yourself, who am I when no one is watching? What do I truly believe? Not what I've been told, but what resonates with my innermost being? What am I willing to stand for, not in a moment of impulse, but out of deep-seated devotion? These questions are not indulgent musings. They are compasses guiding you toward truth. You will not uncover these answers in a crowd or on a screen, nor will you find them amidst the noise of opinions or the glitter of superficial achievements. They do not reside in likes, applause, or the curated images you present to the world. Instead, these truths require patience, stillness, vulnerability, and focused attention. They lie beneath the surface of the roles you've played and the identities you've donned to fit in. These truths await your discovery in solitude, in silence, and in the sacred pauses between distractions. They emerge from the trembling calm that follows a deep exhale, in the silence that seeks no fulfillment but desires to be honored. In those quiet moments when you are not performing or chasing validation, your most authentic voice begins to emerge. And when it does not shout, it whispers. It nudges you gently, reminding you of the essence you've always possessed beneath the cacophony of life. It calls you back to your true self, not to impress others, but to exist wholly in the unwavering honesty that arises when you sit with yourself long enough to hear what your soul has been longing to express. As you rediscover your path, not someone else's journey, not society's blueprint, you will find clarity. This voice, once heard and honored, will guide you forward with a confidence that cannot be taught. It can only be remembered. It is not new wisdom but ancient truth returning to you, and this truth will ultimately set you free. Lesson 8. Walking alone to lead others well. The paradox of solitude is this. By walking your path alone, you become uniquely prepared to lead, love, and serve with authenticity and strength. True leadership isn't born from a crowd but from silent resolve. It's not isolation that disqualifies you from community. It is solitude that equips you to enter it with depth, stability, and unmatched clarity. Only by understanding yourself can you truly understand those around you. Only after enduring your own silent trials do you acquire the patience and depth to be present with another's pain, not to fix it or project your own story, but to simply hold it as a silent witness. When you no longer need anyone to complete you, you become someone who can genuinely serve everyone. Flattery cannot sway you. Guilt cannot manipulate you. The craving to be liked cannot control you. Your strength is not about dominance, but being rooted so firmly that no storm can uproot you. You no longer seek to control others, and in turn, you no longer give them control over your peace. This shift turns you into a lighthouse, steadfast and bright, not a ship tossed about by every passing tide. You provide guidance and hope, but you don't chase after the storms. The Stoics stood as advisors to emperors, generals, and kings, not due to ambition, but because they had mastered themselves. They were trusted not for titles or appearances, but for the substance of their wisdom, proven in the crucible of silence. Their presence held weight. It was tempered by years of meeting their own shadows and navigating the temptations of power and fame. Seneca observed, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that things are difficult." Their daring was silent, strategic, inward-facing, trusted, because it was tested. To make a real difference in the world, begin by tending to yourself. Build your inner citadel, cultivate strong boundaries, and acknowledge your flaws without fear. Walk the path of self-discovery. Face your own silent battles with courage and allow your truth to transform how you work, speak, and give. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot pour fully from a cracked one either. Heal with patience. Rebuild your foundation with honesty and persistence. Then, when you are whole and overflowing not from adrenaline or applause, but from quiet integrity and alignment, you can serve without exhaustion. You will love without losing yourself. You will listen with empathy, not impatience. You will lead not for recognition, but because your presence brings genuine light. You will serve out of abundance, not scarcity. Walking your path alone is not a rejection of connection, but a preparation to truly connect. Your solitude is an education, silent, rigorous, irreplaceable. From it arises a wisdom and strength the world longs to experience. Let your silent journey shape you so you can shape the world with steadfast presence. Lesson 9. The discipline of inner sovereignty. Walking alone is not simply a test of courage, it is an unceasing discipline in an age obsessed with speed, noise, and the easy lure of reaction. The act of choosing a quiet, deliberate pace in pursuit of self-mastery becomes a rare rebellion. The Stoics understood that freedom is not license to do as you please, but the power to do what is right, especially when no one is watching. That kind of power is forged within, out of sight, in silent resolve. Alone on your path, you sharpen your sovereignty over your own mind and impulses. You become a witness to the little wars inside, the subtle pull of temptation, the comforting sway of habit, the sudden storms of emotion that threaten to sweep you away. Instead of succumbing, you learn the discipline of stealing stillness back from a world of urgency. You master the art of waiting while others rush, enduring the discomfort of uncertainty without falling to pieces. This is how leaders and legends are made, a silent act of discipline at a time. Daily life is your training ground. Think of the executive faced with a high-stake crisis who resists the pressure to act rashly and instead takes a silent minute to breathe before responding, a choice that transforms chaos into calm. Consider the parent who holds their tongue in a tense moment with their child, transforming anger into understanding. These silent victories, small and uncelebrated, build an inner fortress no storm can shake. For the Stoic, solitude is not a void, but a monasteria, sacred space to refine the art of response rather than reaction. You create an internal pause, a silent interval where stimulus meets choice. In that silent space, you lead yourself. This is the first law of leadership. If you cannot command your own mind, you will command nothing. No man is free who is not master of himself, wrote Epictetus, echoing across centuries. Walking alone is walking with integrity, choosing what is right, not what is easy, especially when there is no one to witness but yourself. True discipline means honoring your truth, even in discomfort, even when it costs you. The life you forge is not merely productive, but deeply purposeful, a life that is not shaken by circumstance because it is rooted in something silent and unbreakable. When the world rushes by, measuring worth in noise and urgency, let your silent foundation answer. Let your peace be your protest. Let your stillness pose a silent question to the ceaseless demand for speed. For beneath the surface, roots deepen. While others sprint on shallow soil, your restraint grows into resilience. You are not falling behind. You are growing beneath out of view, but into strength. When you finally rise, it will not be noise that announces you. It will be the unmistakable thunder of presence, the silent force of someone who has mastered themselves before seeking to shape others. For the loudest power is often the quietest, and the truest influence begins in silence. The strongest souls are refined not under the spotlight, but in the silent sanctum of solitude.